So most of you know that this is a collaborative effort between multiple agencies in the area, and our nonprofit Little Red Forest Reform Coalition and some concerned citizens putting this together. And we kind of thought after the April Forest Health Conference that we might not have these through the summer, but our committee decided that we had enough topics and enough interest that we should continue through the summer. So we are planning to continue to have one every month until we either run out of folks coming or topics to talk about. And then we can always talk about things again, like I know the beetle kill and things, that'll come up again, and we'll probably do that session or something similar to it again in sometime in the fall. June is going to be a little different because we try to hit the first Tuesday of every month. June is the first Tuesday is election day, and rather than compete with that, we're going to move it to the next Tuesday. So it'll be June 10th, the second Tuesday in June. And that topic is going to be flood mitigation and watersheds, watershed health. And we have 2 speakers lined up for that. July is usually when we start getting our rains, and so we want people to be prepared for possible flooding. Now, flooding doesn't just occur in people that live in waterways, because in like 2008, when we had some major rain that caused the Rio Ruidoso to flood, there were people even up on hillsides that had water coming down into the backs of their homes and rocks and things coming down. So it's not just for people who live close to a waterway. There's things you can do in any situation in case of flooding. So those are the things we've got lined up for the next couple of months. And tonight the food was provided by Village Buttery, and we really appreciate them doing that. And so we want to go by and have lunch there. And I think that's about it as far as housekeeping. Please feel free to find seats wherever, folks. And make sure you have your little red ticket. We'll have door prizes at the end. Before we have our main speakers and topic tonight, I'd like to introduce a person who's really instrumental in helping to all of us treat our properties and be aware of fire-wise principles and things, especially out in the county. And this is Rick Merritt with the South Central Mountain RC&D, and Rick is the rural forester. And so, particularly if you live out in the county, this is a man you definitely want to know. So I'm going to let him speak for a few minutes on what he does.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Good evening. We're all friends here. Thank you, Erica, for letting me take just a brief moment here. The South Central Mountain RC&D, we are updating the Community Wildfire Protection Plan right now. And part of this plan is public input. That's why I'm out here talking to you guys. This is your chance, and I want to just read this because it's important that you understand what this document is. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I got to look over my glasses here, okay? The CWPP came out of the Health Forest Restoration Act of 2003. This act provided communities with the opportunity to influence how and where federal agencies implement fuel reduction projects on federal land and how additional funds may be distributed for projects on non-federal land. A CWPP is the means through which the public can provide their voice in fuel management, planning, and fire protection for communities. What a mouthful, right? But that's how neat this program is. This Community Wild Protection Plan is your guys' opportunity to voice. What do we want our money spent at? Do we want it on public outreach like we're doing right now? Do we want it on tree thinning? Do we want it on maybe to talk to a neighbor that maybe is not thinning their land on a Firewise program? So basically I'm here to ask you guys for your opinion. That can be kind of scary, for sure. But definitely I want your opinion, your advices, and what we would do is we'll input this into this document, and this document will go to all the federal agencies and counties and states, and when they're applying for grants, they have to use this document to say, hey, see, this is what you guys wanted done. So I'll be available afterwards. I don't want to take too much of America's time here, and we'll go ahead and afterwards, be glad to give you my card. You can give me your opinions on my email address, or I'll write them down while I'm here. And then the only other thing that I'd like to put out there is in July, the state forestry, we're hoping to have some funds for private landowners to thin their lots. So we're starting a waiting list right now in Lincoln County. So again, you can get my card, and if you know of anybody that hasn't done any tree thinning or tree mitigation, I'd be glad to at least give you information and come out and look at your land. Also, how neat a job that I get paid to come out and talk to you about and give you my opinion on a little Firewise information, some Ready, Set, Go programs, stuff that these guys have been talking about forever, and they've been doing a great job at it. So that's what I had. Thank you guys for the opportunity to talk here. I thought I'd make it real quick, and I'll be available afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't know if Rick mentioned it, in the other room for a second, there are lists of contractors
I'm sorry,
out front too, of the guys that actually can come out and take a look at your property and cut it after Rick has advised them. We have a bunch of our firefighters here. I think we should give them a I'd love you guys to find seats. No?
We're all right.
Okay. Need to stand the whole time. I guess it's good training. Thank you for all you do. Okay, now on to the main topic for our session tonight. It's called An Overview of Forest Management on the Mescalero Reservation. And we have Erica Njadi, who is the forest manager of the BIA Mescalero Agency, and Thora Padilla, who is the director of the Division of Resource Management and Protection. And so I'm just going to turn it over to them, and I know that they have a lot of interesting things to say. Thanks.
Hang out over here for you.
Okay.
Mary.
So thanks everybody. I'm really thrilled to see more than 2 people here. That's always a goal when we give presentations. And so to have the interest shown by your attendance here is just great. Dora and I have a lot to cover, so I think if you guys have questions after I talk, that we could hold off till the end. That's fine. That would be better because usually with the answers, we usually answer them as a tag team. So I'll go ahead and get started. First of all, let me introduce myself as the forest manager for the Bureau of Indian Affairs Mescalero Agency. I've held that position for 4 years now. I started out working in forestry right after high school by becoming a wildland firefighter, and I graduated with my bachelor's degree in forestry from Northern Arizona University. I didn't stick with fire. I found out early on with my career, it's not really my type of job. I mean, we've done it, but I think it takes a really unique type of person to be able to not shower for 14 days. I wear contacts and I prefer not to have ash and dust and wood chips go in them, and so I've had a lot of experience with timber management and fuels management. During college, while I was an intern at the Bureau of Indian Affairs, I was able to work with different reservations as well. So I had exposure working with the Hoopa Valley tribe in California, and the Shoshone and Arapaho tribes on the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming, and then also the White Mountain Apache tribe in Arizona. So that's a little bit of my background. Just to give you some information regarding where we work on the reservation, it was a series of treaties and negotiations with the federal government that established the current reservation. And so the reservation as we've known it today has basically been unchanged since 1883. The current size of the reservation is 460,678 acres. We're actually in Otero County, and the tribe consists of 3 bands of Apaches, the Mescalero, Chiricahua, and Lipan. So tribal members can be part of all 3 of the bands or just 2, and all of us identify with, you know, those groups. And there are differences, it's not just one type of Apache. And we have about 4,500 tribal members. 49? Wow, 4,900 and
25 as of last month.
And I have 3 kids, so I think we've stopped contributing to that census number.
I'm waiting for grandkids.
So one of the unique things about the reservation is that the Bureau of Indian Affairs oversees a lot of the programs that are implemented on the reservation for the betterment of the tribe or on behalf of the tribe. So just reading from the slide, the guiding principle of the BIA forestry program is to assure the productivity of forests for future generations while affording the development of the resource for its current best use as determined by the tribe. This is accomplished by fulfilling the Bureau's trust responsibility imposed by the United States through treaties, statute, and court orders to protect, manage, and develop trust resources. This obligation must be conducted in recognition of tribal sovereignty, wherein the tribe is considered a sovereign nation, and dealings with the federal government are conducted on a nation-to-nation basis. So this is how we work with the tribe, and it's our normal business. The Bureau of Indian Affairs works with DRMP on a nation-to-nation basis because they're the tribal entity that's been tasked to work with us by just the development of their program. So we do have this cooperative effort, and Dora's program was already in place when I started working on the reservation back in 2000. So as far as I'm concerned, there's always been a DRMP and BIA relationship. In my office, this is a little bit of, shows you what I oversee as the forest manager and what our shop consists of. Timber, the big acronym is Forest Development, Inventory, Management, Planning, and Silviculture. It's a big acronym for what's 2 people now. And Fuels Management and Fire Management. This picture right here is located in the reservation that we call Red Cabin. And I inserted this slide to give you a little history and let you know that logging on the reservation has been present since about the 1880s. So for about that long, the reservation, the tribal members, and the government, tribal government, have been dependent or utilizing timber as a form of employment, a source of income for the tribe. So this has been many generations going back to probably my great-grandparents' generation or my great-great-grandparents' generation where logging has existed. And I think part of that longevity of having logging on the reservation and people being exposed to knowing what logging is, it has really generated this tribal member public acceptance of this is what we do. So I think that's what our public deals with. Granted, we still have issues that people don't want logging in their backyard, but we have done it. 35% of the reservation is forested, 150,000 acres of commercial forest. Right now, our allowable cut is 16.8 million board feet a year. And this is implemented through what we call a forest management plan. And right now, we're in the process of renewing our management plan. It sets forth our goals and objectives and the parameters of how we're going to manage the forest. And the reservation has been under the management of a forest management plan since the 1940s, I believe. So about a whole couple of generations long is what we might call like under modern forestry management. The Mescalero Forest is facing the same problem as most of the interior forests. A lot of the things, if you've been coming to these speaker series, we've been talking about the same things. It's like the trees are so much thicker than what they used to be, and everything's so much drier. Well, this is a shot from about the 1890s. So you'll see that this hillside coming down
I was here back then.
is the same as the one on that side, and I don't know how well you can see it, but you can definitely see more ponderosa pine, a lot more thicker stands, and that hillside was naturally thinned out by fire. Fire had a presence in the area about every 5 to 10 years. Fire would come through the community, and we became really good firefighters. And that, of course, contributed to the change in the landscape. Oh, I forgot I had those slides like that to show you the bigger before and after. So now that everything's thicker, we of course see more wildfire, and everything's more susceptible to insect outbreaks. And what we're seeing a lot of now too is dieback across the forest from drought stress. And we just have had such an extended drought that there's not enough waters for the trees, and trees are just dying from drought stress. And even the live green standing trees are a lot drier than what you might think they are. And we've noticed that, or at least the feedback I've been getting from the field, is that that's exhibited by fire behavior. So even though these hillsides have green standing trees in them, they're really dry, and it's changing how fires are behaving from what people are accustomed from, even from 2000 or the late 1990s. This is our famous picture that we use quite often in
It's the cloud comes by.
different presentations, and this is the
Thanks for that.
reservation boundary on the Cloudcraft side, Sacramento District. This shows the Skyline Fuels Break, which DRMP implemented alongside with the National Forest. So this is really what generates a lot of the interest for the outside public off the reservation, is that they can see these differences and want to know, well, what are you guys doing, and how come the Lincoln doesn't look like that? As part of addressing our concerns, we do monitor a lot of forest activity under drought, like I mentioned before. And within these past couple of years, we've had a big freeze. I can't remember what year that was offhand, where we had a lot of junipers die because of the freeze, insects, outbreaks, and then the drought. It's been really a challenge to grasp how extensive these changes and these diebacks in the forest are happening. But from observations out in the field and feedback that we're getting is that in the areas where we have had forest management through logging or hazardous fuels reduction, that activity is less severe compared to areas where we haven't had any type of treatments or injuries. So I don't think any type of forest stand is, what would you call it, like exempt from seeing these effects. It's just that because we've been able to treat so much across the landscape, I think it's just less severe compared to other places. We use timber as a mechanism to address various objectives, providing income for the tribe, employment opportunities, ensure a continuous supply of saw logs for the tribal sawmill. This is Ruth. And to promote the forest health through stocking control, age class distribution, several species composition, and insect disease control, and reduce hazardous fuels. And then our goal is to achieve a portion. We used to be able to achieve the annual allowable cut, but we haven't for several years. Just to give you an update on the sawmill, if some of you are interested. Oh, what was that? She said you want to sustain it. The tribe, and you may have seen it in the newspaper, they are really interested in getting the sawmill back open, and that's something that Thor and I will be working with the tribe in the near future to see what path that might take within the next couple of years. A misconception that I know is out there, because I've had people make comments, is that they think that we're able to do a lot of logging and all these active treatments because the reservation doesn't have to follow NEPA, or the reservation doesn't have to worry about the Endangered Species Act, but that's not true. As the Bureau of Indian Affairs, we're a federal agency, and we're still responsible for ensuring that there's NEPA compliance. So we look for things, making sure that we have Section 106 compliance, which is the historical, archaeological type of issues are mitigated. And then also we have, for many years, addressed concerns regarding the Mexican spotted owl, and we do have a Mexican spotted owl plan, which Thor is, if you have any questions about that, Thor is probably better able to address. And then, of course, our own concerns about cultural species, cultural use of the land, traditional culture properties and stuff. So we do have to address the same types of things that the Forest Service does. We do it with a much smaller public, though, typically. Fuels and forest management work in tandem to reduce hazardous fuels and maintain forest health. We have been integrating logging with our hazardous fuels reduction program for many years. And so basically within the past several years, what that's meant is that wherever we do logging, we also thin out the smaller diameter unmerchantable trees. So they're lined up perfectly. We found that it's very much more cost effective to do a full scale of treatments, one right after another, or by using the loggers to thin out the smaller diameter trees while they're there on site. Instead of having to do multiple injuries, we can just do it all in one sweep. Reducing the risk of wildfire involves an overall coordinated strategy consisting of prevention, mitigation, and suppression. So addressing this concern across the reservation doesn't mean that we're just thinning the small stuff, the dog hair thickets. We have to take this three-pronged approach to doing each one of these topics, and how we implement it varies, but you take away one thing and we're not doing our job. You have to do the fire prevention, you have to do the mitigation, which is the hazardous fuels reduction, and then the suppression. They all work together to ensure that we're doing the best that we can to reduce that risk of fire, of large fires. So in Mescalero, we have a small prevention effort. It's an unfunded program for the BIA Forestry, so it's like a collateral duty, or wherever we can pick up a presentation, a parade. Anytime we have a big community event, we'll bring out Smokey Bear. We're working on trying to develop a new prevention plan so we can try and get some more money. The picture of the ash can up there is we've really been trying to target the use of ash cans and promote the use of ash cans, because we have had a number of fires on the reservation started by people who have dumped their wood stove ashes just out on the ground. And I don't think in any way it's intentional. It's just that it just takes one of those little tiny embers to get exposed to the air and to touch grass, and then you can have a fire. So that's been our campaign, is to have the homeowners use ashes, especially weekends like we had this past weekend. I mean, we're in fire season, our early fire season, and it was getting down to freezing temperatures at night. And wood stoves are the primary heating source for our reservation residents. So this is a very, specific issue for us to address on the reservation. Fire suppression, the other prong in our three-pronged approach. The Mescalero Red Hats started as a formal firefighting organization in 1949. It was organized, I believe, through the Forest Service efforts, but the black and white picture shows what they used to wear when they used to firefight. It was like you had your pair of boots, jeans, a long sleeve shirt, and you're lucky if you got a hard hat. And they would have these little canvas bags where they would take their lunch out, and a little metal canteen, and that was it. And these days, the guys are wearing about $1,000 worth of equipment between their packs and their Nomex and all the fancy stuff. But the Red Hats started off the tradition, and we had firefighting crews all throughout the 40s, 50s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, until the Mescalero Hot Shots were organized. I had to write down the date. In 1986, they were formally established. So with the Hot Shots, we had 22 years of the Mescalero Hot Shots, and they were able to continue that firefighting tradition very proudly. And our folks at home are very proud to be firefighters, and most people on the reservation have fought fire or been involved in fire as a camp crew or a lookout. Everybody's worked at forestry, let's just say that. Everybody's worked at forestry. And we've been very proud of that. Unfortunately, in 2008, the crew was disbanded just due to lack of funding. NIFC, the National Interagency Fire Center, determined that it couldn't support as many BIA hotshot crews as they had in the past, so they had cut two in 2008, and ours unfortunately was one of them. And that was a hard pill to swallow, but that doesn't mean that we don't have that pride, and we're still continuing with that tradition by supporting the Type 2 crews and what we call a Type 2 initial attack crew, which is like one level down from a formal hotshot organization. So our suppression program consists of a lot. It's our Heli-TAC module, engines, our agency personnel, our AD program. We utilize the tribal programs a lot, and emergency equipment rentals, where we have agreements with contractors to use their dozers, their water tenders. And we also coordinate extensively with the PACO Zone, which is our dispatching entity out of Alamogordo. I work with our own BIA region, and of course NIFC. We have had our share of large